Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Donald Trump sworn in as 45th U.S. President. Trump takes oath to become U.S. President. Trump formally announces Perdue as nominee for agriculture. Obama asked for ideas for retirement, pledging work for true democracy. Syria, IS destroys part of Palmyra's Roman theater. Prime Minister urges international community for greater focus on food security. And Tamim to lead Bangladesh in second test against Black Caps. Those were the headlines, now the detail. Hundreds of thousands of people have poured into Washington to watch Donald Trump being sworn in as the 45th U.S. President. All eyes were on the U.S. Capitol as Mr. Trump formally replaced President Barack Obama in the White House. Here is a guide to the historic transition. The newly elected U.S. President is sworn into office by the Chief Justice of the United States every 4 years by noon on 20 January as prescribed by the U.S. Constitution. The incoming president was historically inaugurated on 4 March, but the period of delay was shortened when the 20th Amendment was ratified in 1933. Power belongs to the American people again, President Donald Trump said after he was sworn in as U.S. President. He took the oath of office on the steps of the U.S. Capitol in Washington to become the country's 45th president. Thousands of Trump supporters traveled across the country to witness the occasion from the National Mall. The moment marks the end of an improbable journey for the property tycoon after a campaign marked by controversy. In his inaugural address, he promised to be the voice of the forgotten people, ignored by Washington politicians. Today, he said, was the day the people became rulers of this nation again. I will fight for you with every breath left in my body and I will never ever let you down, said President Trump after Chief Justice John Roberts administers the oath. America will start winning again, winning like never before. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump officially announced Sonny Perdue as his choice for Secretary of Agriculture, selecting a former Georgia governor over candidates from the Midwest, which dominates U.S. agricultural exports. Perdue, who was on Trump's Agriculture Advisory Committee during his presidential campaign, has to be confirmed in the post by the Republican-led Senate. Perdue served 2 terms as Georgia governor from 2003 to 2011. Prior to that, he was a state senator representing a rural swath of the state about 100 miles south of Atlanta. Perdue, who holds a doctorate in veterinary medicine and served in the U.S. Air Force, founded a grain and fertilizer business in Georgia. U.S. President Barack Obama called on the public to offer ideas on what he should do in retirement, pledging to work for true democracy as he exits the White House. Just hours before handing over the leadership of the United States to Donald Trump, Obama said in tweets and a video with his wife Michelle that they were accepting ideas from the public for what his new presidential center in Chicago should do going ahead. I won't stop. I will be right there with you as a citizen, inspired by your voices of truth and justice, good humor and love, Obama tweeted. As we look forward, I want our first steps to reflect what matters most to you. Share your thoughts with me at obama.org. The FBI is investigating a second wave of threats to Jewish facilities across the U.S. in the last month. 27 Jewish community centers in 17 U.S. states reported receiving hoax bomb threats. The telephone calls prompted evacuations, but no explosives were found or injuries reported. No one has claimed responsibility for any of the calls, which first targeted 16 Jewish community centers in 9 U.S. states on 9, according to the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. The calls were both pre-recorded and live, and the suspect used voice disguising technology. The ADL says it has received reports of threats in New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Florida, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Delaware, Connecticut, Alabama, California, Maine, Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri, Texas, and Kansas. President Barack Obama has defended his decision to free WikiLeaks source Chelsea Manning 29 years before her scheduled release. He told his final news conference that justice has been served. Manning was sentenced to 35 years for leaking diplomatic cables to the group, one of the largest breaches of classified material in U.S. history. The communication of her sentence has been attacked by Republicans as sending the wrong message. House Speaker Paul Ryan said the move set a dangerous precedent. The 29-year-old transgender U.S. Army private born Bradley Manning leaked documents to WikiLeaks in 2010. Militants from the Islamic State group have destroyed part of the Roman theater in the ancient city of Palmyra. Syria's Antiquities chief said the Tetraphyllon, a group of four-pillared structures which were mainly modern replicas, has also been ruined. The jihadists recaptured the UNESCO-listed archaeological site in December from government troops. The head of the UN cultural body said the destruction was a new war crime. Its Director General, Irina Bokova, said what she described as cultural cleansing by violent extremists had resulted in an immense loss for the Syrian people and for humanity. Viewers, now Millennium News on Bangladesh topic. Chief Justice Surendra Kumar Sinha said professional obligations require lawyers to protect rule of law and not to protect offenders. You are the souls of the judges who cannot write a single line without your cooperation. It is the lawyers who play the pioneering role in upholding rule of law, he told a function marking the opening of Chief Judicial Magistracy Court building in Chittagong Court recently. The Chief Justice regretted the vandalism staged by a group of lawyers over the denial of bail prayers for a lawyer and his wife, calling it a despicable incident. About the long-cherished demand for setting up a circuit bench of the High Court in Chittagong, the CJ said the matter is under active consideration of the Prime Minister as the Chief of the Judiciary. The risky child labor will be eradicated from the country by 2021, said State Minister for Labor and Employment Mohammad Mujibul Haq Chunnu. The new generation won't be employed in hazardous jobs. The risky child labor will be eradicated by 2021, he told a workshop in Mymensingh town, said a PID handout. Bibhagio Shishustrom Niroshon Kollan Porishod, a divisional welfare association for child labor eradication, arranged the workshop titled Child Labor Eradication at a local hotel. The junior minister said it is not difficult for the government to bring out some 12 lakh children workers from the risky jobs. The government only wants cooperation from all, he added. A new app is going to be launched to help farmers get information about crop cultivation and marketing. A tripartite agreement was signed among Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agricultural University Center for Research and Information and Chinese Farm ISOFTON at a function at Krishibid Institute Bangladesh auditorium in the city. State Minister for Power and Energy Nazrul Hamid, who was present at the function as the chief guest, welcomed the move, saying the new app will immensely promote rural economy as farmers will get timely information to produce crops and market the products. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina urged the global community to put greater focus on agriculture and food security to minimize the risk of lives and livelihoods of farmers, fishers, artisans, and women. As we move to implement the Paris Agreement, there are areas global community, including the business, can step in. First, lives and livelihoods of our farmers, fishers, artisans, and women are increasingly at risk. They need urgent support. We need greater focus on agriculture and food security, she said. The Prime Minister said this while speaking at a plenary session titled Leading the Fight Against Climate Change of the ongoing World Economic Forum Annual Meeting 2017, held at Congress Center, Congress Hall in Davos recently. Sheikh Hasina also urged the global community and businesses to make smart agriculture beneficial for small and marginal farmers, as well as imparting knowledge on sustainable cropping and farm management in the entire value chain. Calling upon all to put up a united resistance against terrorism, President Abdul Hamid said terrorists have no religion. We have to remember that terrorists have no religion. Terrorism is their identity. So the world must be aware of them and should be united against them, he said. The president was addressing the Silver Jubilee and 7th National Conference of Ekattur Ghatok Dalal Nirmul Committee at the Institute of Engineers Bangladesh Auditorium. The anti-liberation forces are killing people and unleashing terrorism in the country, spreading the poison of communalism in the name of religion in their evil bid to block the country's development and stigmatize the holy religion Islam, he said. A Bangladesh national who was working as gas station attendant as Los Feliz in Los Angeles was shot dead during an early morning robbery. The victim is Mizanur Rahman Russell, son of Abdur Rafiq, hailing from Shibganj Upazila of Chapainawabganj district. UNB correspondent reported, quoting his family members. One of his friends from Los Angeles conveyed Russell's killing to his father Rafiq over phone on Wednesday morning. 30-year-old Russell was doing his MBA at a university there. His body will be brought back home after necessary formalities. Viewers, now Millennium Business News. The head of the world's largest hedge fund has said the President Donald Trump will be good for the US and world economy, but he fears the populist tide that took him to the Oval Office. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, which manages $150 billion, said populism was on a scale not seen since the 1930s and could prove dangerous. The remarks follow a critical speech in Davos by top investor George Soros. He called Mr. Trump an imposter and conman and expected him to fail. Mr. Dalio's position is less negative. He told the BBC on Trump there are pluses and minuses. I don't think he is necessarily protectionist and he is very pro-business with his policies. China's economy grew by 6.7% in 2016, compared with 6.9% a year earlier, according to official data, marking its slowest growth since 1990. The figure is in line with Beijing's growth target of between 6.5% and 7%, but the data comes days after the leader of one Chinese provider admitted data was faked for several years. China is a key driver of the global economy, and a growth slowdown is a major concern for investors around the world. Retail sales in December dropped 1.9% from the previous month, according to official figures. Sales across all main retail sectors declined, with the heaviest falls coming the non-food stores, the Office for National Statistics said. It was the biggest monthly fall for more than 4.5 years. The Black Friday discounts in late November made it even harder to keep shoppers spending during December, analysts at Lloyd's said. Experts had predicated a much smaller 0.1% monthly fall. Dhaka Stock Exchange called upon the investors to be careful while investing in the stock markets to keep up the present rising trend sustainable, saying the government and authorities concerned have been making relentless efforts to make the market strong. Properly observing the company's overall activities will have to be the main motto of investment. I think a conscious investor can act as a precondition to market development, said DSE Managing Director KAM Majidur Rahman at a press conference at DSE in the city. The sincere efforts of the government and the Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission helped turning the stock markets to positive trend, he said, adding that the government and authorities concerned committed to maintain stability and mobility of the stock markets. Bangladesh Bank has already got 66 project proposals involving $403.63 million through different private banks to facilitate long-term financing under the World Bank-funded financial sector support project. US million of which 12.02 million has been disbursed. Rest of the approved amount is under the process of disbursement, a senior BB official told news agency BSS. Out of the total approved, some companies have disbursed a portion and others are under process, as the amount will be disbursed through opening letter of credit for importing machineries, he said. Viewers, now Millennium Environment, Science and Technology News. Technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in the world today. Artificial intelligence is moving into every sphere of life. According to the recent reports by China Daily, an article was written and published by a robot. It's the first time where a robot has entered in the sphere of media. This can change the way media works today. According to the reports, the article was 300 characters long and focused on the Spring Festival travel rush in the Guangzhou-based southern metropolis Delhi. The author Xiao Nan took just a second to write this story. The robot is trained to write both short and long reports, according to Wan Xianzun, a professor at Peking University who leads the team studying and developing such robots. Last year was Earth's warmest on record, according to data compiled by the UN, confirming US findings that heat records were broken for a third year in 2016. A study by the World Meteorological Organization found that global average temperatures were about 1.1 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial period and about 0.07 degrees Celsius above the record set in 2015. 2016 was an extreme year for the global climate and stands out as the hottest year on record, said Petteri Talas, the agency's Secretary General. The agency based its findings on data from the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies, the UK's Met Office Hadley Centre, and the University of East Anglia's Climatic Research Unit. Australian astrophysicists have come a step closer to solving a galactic murder mystery on Tuesday. They studied the efforts of dark matter, 11,000 galaxies, a meteor reports. They saw that when gas was rapidly stripped from a galaxy, the building block of stars was lost and the galaxy was effectively killed, said study leader Toby Brown. The study was conducted by researchers from the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research, a joint venture between Curtin University and the University of Western Australia, an agency reported. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. Veterans Yuvraj Singh and Mahendra Singh Dhoni turned back the clock with blistering centuries to set up India's series-clinching 15-run win against England in the second one-day international in Cuttack. England skipper Ian Morgan struck a valiant 102 as the visitors, who were chasing 382 for victory, gave the hosts a scare after they ended the reply on 366 by 8. With England requiring 46 of the final 3 overs, the visitors stood an outside chance, but Morgan's unfortunate run out in the penultimate over ended their hopes. The left-handed batsman hit 6 fours and 5 sixes during his 81-ball builds, but it was the 256-run fourth-wicket partnership between Yuvraj and Dhoni that handed India as an accessible 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. Southpaw opener Tamim Iqbal will lead the Bangladesh team in the second test against New Zealand, which begins in Christchurch. Tamim has been named as captain for the match after regular skipper Mushfiqur Rahim was ruled out due to a thumb injury. Batsman Imrul Qais and Mominul Haq are also sidelined after failing to confirm fitness for the match. Shakib Al Hasan will be the vice-captain for the test. Bangladesh Saifuddin Conway said Mushfiq still has pain in the joint of his right thumb, which needs time to heal. At this stage, we are confident that he will recover fully in a couple of weeks and will be fit for our next test commitment. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Donald Trump sworn in as 45th U.S. President. Trump takes oath to become U.S. President. Trump formally announces Purdue as nominee for agriculture. Obama asked for ideas for retirement, pledging work for true democracy. Syria, IS destroys part of Palmyra's Roman theater. Prime Minister urges international community for greater focus on food security. And Tamim to lead Bangladesh in second test against Black Caps. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website facebook.com/millenniumtvusa and youtube.com/millenniumtvusa. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.net. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.